On today's episode, we will be spreading awareness on domestic abuse.
If either yourself or anyone you know are experiencing domestic abuse, we have added some websites into our description which can be of help.
Mama's Code.
Hey, Mama.
Hey, Mama.
We are back, better than ever.
How are you?
I'm good.
How's homeschooling going?
It's all right. I mean, better than expected.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I think, you just overwork yourself before it even starts. But
yeah,
there's a lot of positive messages out there that, it's okay. That you don't need to make kids study for like 6 hours a day. So, just taking it easy.
And you know what's really nice? I've seen a lot of celebrity moms that they literally it's 10 a.m. and they're like, do you know what? School's done for today because I can't deal with this. And then tomorrow they will show that they've had a better day. And it's, it doesn't matter who you are really. You're just going through the whole thing together and it's hot.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's just, you put a lot of pressure on yourself, but I'm sorry, but you want to just throw a rubber at me. He literally does not wreck my life. All
right, guys. Well, we are Mama's Code, and today on our open therapy session, we have the lovely
Dajana.
Hi.
And we have Stefano with us again.
Hey.
How's everyone?
Good. Considering the circumstances. Not yet pulled out all of my hair, but we're getting there.
We're surviving. Oh, Sada says she's missed school like 6 times already. Oh.
So Dee, tell us a bit about you. How many children do you have? Do you have any children?
Not 4 like that. Not 4 like Stefano.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do 4. I am a mother of 2. 1's 6, a little girl, and the other one's also a girl, and she is 9 months old next week.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that is so cute. That's a healthy age gap, is it not?
You would think, because that's what we had planned. We had planned that, well, I originally planned that I wasn't going to have any more. Like, I was adamant that with my firstborn, it was going to be enough. Like, I thought, this is it. Like, I'm complete. Had a messy breakup with the father of my daughter, and then the father of my eldest, and then I just decided. I was like, nope, I'm convinced. Only one. Don't really want to go through the childbirth again. Didn't enjoy my pregnancy. Found it really difficult.
Because of your partner, or in general, it wasn't a nice experience?
I've not liked being pregnant both times, and I quite openly say it. Like, I don't enjoy pregnancy. Like, like you see the women that are like radiant, and they're like, oh my God, I really enjoy pregnancy, and oh my gosh, my hair, and yeah, it's amazing, and look what I'm wearing. No, I felt like a potato. I was sick the whole time. Like, I was literally...
I'm sure at some point we all felt like a potato
from the beginning. Like, I didn't...
She was 1 hour
from like that.
Literally,
she was like, oh my God, I'm
pregnant. I knew it. I was like, damn. No, because my pregnancy was really hard from the beginning. So I really didn't enjoy it. And I didn't feel like, the glow and all of that. And then plus the relationship was rocky from the get-go with the pregnancy. We didn't live together. I was still at my mum's and dad's house, and it just wasn't the greatest atmosphere.
So imagine finding out you're pregnant after 6 years. What happens then? Did you think, oh shit, here's the potato?
So we really tried. Like, we were trying to get pregnant because like I said, I really didn't want to have another child. And then I met my current partner, and for him, he hadn't had any children. So it was like make or break. So it was like, either I have a child with him or me and him are not going to work. So I compromised and I have 2 children now. it is a good age gap because it's easier than, I don't struggle with the struggles some people have, like for example you, Erica, where they're so young, like they've got a smaller age gap, but it's harder in the sense that everything's new again,
starting from scratch.
Yeah, like I've forgotten everything. I googled everything throughout my pregnancy. I would ask my friends everything about pregnancies, like everything felt different, everything felt new. I suppose it's the same like with just having different pregnancies. I think where there was like the expectation of knowing what was going on, it was a struggle on its own as well.
What about labour wise?
I hate labour. The only good thing,
I mean,
the only good thing about labour this time was that I knew what I was feeling. Whereas like with the first, you try to imagine it, right? Like you think, they say it's like 1,000,000 times a period pain. So when you had a period pain, you'd imagine what it was.
But then you get some people that they're like, oh, it didn't hurt. And then you get the other ones that they're like, I literally couldn't even stand it from the first contraction. So you just don't know what to expect, no? Like regardless if it's your first or your fifth.
But so with the second time, I felt like I had an expectation of what to feel. Like I knew the level of pain I was going to feel, and I knew what was coming. Like I knew that after I saw my mucus plug, like it was game on. Just the little expectations, like it was easier the second time around, pain-wise.
But just as scary.
Yeah, it was just as scary.
I felt the same.
Yeah, because I guess you don't really know how it's going to go. Like, you know what you're looking for. You know what you're going to feel, you know.
What about, did you have any differences between like breast or bottle feeding throughout the two pregnancies?
Yeah, I did. A major one for me was that with my firstborn, I breastfed like a pro. Like from the moment she came out, she latched on, it was perfect. I lactated really well. But with my second one, I couldn't. I couldn't breastfeed. And it was really annoying because, again, expectations, like as a mum of two, like now you're just expected to be a pro at everything and remember how to make a baby latch on and like be able to lactate because you've obviously produced milk before, so you just put that pressure on yourself. What I did anyway. So yeah, with my second one, I really struggled breastfeeding. She only got like a week's worth because I had to stop. But in that sense, yeah, with my firstborn, I was able to breastfeed for 6 months, like I'd planned, and I planned to do the same thing with my second, but that was just not possible. And so it was hard coming to terms with the fact that obviously I couldn't do the same for both my children.
And obviously that just comes down to expectations.
Yeah, it's just the pressure that we put on ourselves, I think, as like mums in general, we just expect ourselves to just not be human. And we're human. As much as we pretend we're not human.
Yeah. I completely hear you because, for example, me, like, obviously I've just got one child at the moment, but I feel like how you can easily sway yourself into expecting the same thing the next time round. Like I can see how you think, oh, you know, I know how to, for example, change a nappy, or I know how to sleep train my child. But yes, you know all of this, but at the end of the day, when you've got the other baby, they're going to be a completely different temperament.
Yeah, of course.
It's just a complete different child. So
but trust me, it is that. My first was like, I can't explain to you. She did not sleep. She was up with colic the whole night. And that was one of the main things. And she was just an awful baby. Like I can say it outright. She was an awful baby. Everything you could think.
She's gonna hate you when she listens to this.
I love you now, but no, honestly, like anything you could think that could go wrong with a baby, colic, constipation, hungry baby at the same time, anything you can think of, won't sleep, like wakes up to breastfeed and to bottle feed because she was a hungry baby. Anything you could think could go wrong, it happened with my firstborn until she reached about 6-7 months. Now, my secondborn, brilliant. she sleeps through the night. But this child is very needy. And I'm not used to that because my first one wasn't needy at all. I could just sit her in front of a blank wall and she'll be fine. This one, you have to be consistent. Like,
that is so cute.
Yeah, it's just, they're both very, very different. And again, like, you put pressures on yourself because you think, oh, well, I know exactly what I'm going to do. You plan it in your head and it just literally does not happen.
And say, for instance, where you've just said your firstborn had literally everything that could go wrong happened, you would now think, oh, I went through all of that. It was all a phase. I know what I should be doing next time. So that's already an expectation. But then your second one just came out a brilliant baby.
I was so prepared for college.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, even if Diana, obviously, she has an expectation and she kind of thinks, okay, well, I know this is what I did with this child. It might not work the second time round, even if, you know, the second child came out exactly like this other child, because there's different things. It's like, for example, formula. Not every baby goes to the specific formula. Like if I hadn't, like, I remember with my first, I gave him Actimel. And then with my second, I was very like, oh, but what if, you know, I don't know no other milk. So what if my second doesn't like Actimel? Like, what do I give him? Like, you put that pressure on yourself because it's like you've kind of like adjusted to one thing. And this is where I come in with, like, say, Steph, that she only has one. How does this make you kind of feel? Because I know we spoke before about, you know, you kind of want to do what you've done with your first, with the second, like in terms of breastfeeding and, you know, just raising them kind of like in similar ways. But how does it make you feel? Like, obviously hearing Dajana now, it's like the expectations she had to what like she's living.
It scares me. I would think I would try and not put so much pressure on myself. Like, I've watched you guys together and here's me, let's say on a day where you've not had a good day and I've said, oh, but don't stress out, you know, babies aren't the same. I'm saying that to you guys, but I don't have my second one. So when it comes around to me, we'll see how I deal with it. Try and think at that moment in time, you know, where's it? A taste of my medicine. Calm down. No, you can't expect the same. I've always said, oh, I'm praying that the day I do have my second, it's going to be an angel, going to sleep all through the night. He or she will sleep all through the night, because my baby did not let me sleep through the night at all. I was up what was it, like 3 hours or 2 hours and a half, and it was breast and bottle, and she was still hungry. Like, we'd have to put a dummy in her mouth to force her to sleep.
What you were going to say? To shut her up.
Honestly, we would put the dummy in her mouth. You're full, like, you can't eat anymore. And then it would before even doing that, it would take us another half an hour to try and burp her. And when the colic came in, oh my God, even worse. 7 o'clock on the dot, this child was crying. Ask Dajana at 7 o'clock, if I was at someone's house at 7 o'clock, I would catch an Uber and run home, because she would turn on her crying mode. I would be like, no, I gotta go. So I'm hoping and I'm praying that the day I do have a second, it will be a completely different baby, but I know it doesn't work like that.
But at least you know what expectations can do to you and the toll it can take on your mental health.
Not try
so you know
not to stress yourself out or put that stress on yourself. Yeah. Because like I said, I've been there, or Dajana been upset, you know, I can't breastfeed. It's okay. No pasa nada. Some babies don't get breast milk. They just, from the moment they're born, they have formula, and they're, you know, we're grown ass adults now, and we're healthy. But it's it's once you're in that position, I know it's a little bit different, but definitely try and take on board.
I think with breastfeeding, well, is the mum guilt that you get having your second one and having your children be complete different age groups, but you still get that mum guilt because you think back and you think, wait, hold on, I was able to do this for her, I was able to do that for her, I was able to do this, I can do this, and now I can't with my second one. You almost, I know I did, I felt a lot of mum guilt, and that's the added pressure that you put on yourself, and that's something you can't really help. But at the same time, like you guys have said, it's something that you deal with. And it's not the end of the world, because there are children who don't have even a taste of colostrum and still make it through.
And also, I guess like it's just having more control the second time round, and like I was saying, in terms of your situations or your what you plan or how you see your whatever, you know, mum in the second time round.
I think the only advice I would ever give to anyone having another child is don't try and plan too much. Like, I think from the moment I knew I was pregnant, I was determined I was going to breastfeed for 6 months. I was determined that I wasn't going to sleep train, that I was determined I was going to, when it came to weaning, do baby-led weaning. I was determined, like I had everything planned, and every milestone that I've hit with Miliana, it's kind of like knocked me back because it doesn't go to plan. There's no way that you can control all these things. I haven't been able to breastfeed. I haven't needed to sleep train. And baby-led weaning went out the window because she refuses to feed herself now.
Why are they like this? Do you know what? I'm so glad you said that because, like, so my kid, he's not picky with his food. Like, he'll literally eat whatever you put in his mouth at whatever given time. But put it in his hand, and he starts like rubbing his fingers, and then he looks at it like I've just piled a piece of shit in his hand, exactly, and he drops it, and he looks at me like, you know, what are you trying to do to me? Like, give me a break. And I'm looking at him like, come on, like, this is your favorite. You know, the little puffs or the little carrot sticks or whatever, like the little treats. You pass it over. Oh my God, this guy can all of a sudden self-feed him.
She called it a treat like as if it's Stitch.
The baby treat with the goods.
Mama, I love you.
I think, you know, what you've just said about if you, for a second time mum, about, you know, don't push yourself and don't plan. I think it just kind of goes for whether it's your first time round.
100%.
Because, even if it's your 10th child, I think you have to think this way from the get-go, because if you can avoid feeling rubbish about, you know, how everything is going, it's because you've implemented that expectation yourself. So for any mum to be, I think you just have to go by the moment and, in other words, kind of wing it. Of course, you will read up on it and you will research.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to plan. I wouldn't say don't plan. Plan, inform yourself and kind of be like, you know, but just don't try and control everything.
Be a bit flexible. Like, don't set your heart in stone. Like, no, this is the way it's going to be.
I completely agree.
It's the same with like birthing plans. I think it also puts a lot of pressure on everyone, because when you read it, you're like, oh, this is how I want my birth, and I want candles, and I want this and that. But it's not going to go like this.
Wants candles on the birth.
If it does,
it might.
If it does, then fantastic. Like, you know, you've had a great experience, but you can't set yourself to, this is what the plan is happening. So now come the day, and you know the doctor saying, no, we need to put you into emergency C-section. A lot of people are refusing to it because this is not in their birthing plan. So I think it's more of seeing it as a preference, but being open-minded to, you know, alternatives.
Yeah. I mean, if push comes to shove, you should always have a secondary plan anyway.
Moving on subject, seeing as like you've got 2 daughters, so I'm assuming you have a blended family.
Yes.
How was it introducing your first child to your current partner?
Like, did you say there's someone that wants to tickle my beans?
There's someone that's currently rocking my boat. I found a sausage from my bone. No, that's definitely not. Basically, it was just like introducing her to a friend. The thing is that it was very, very gradual. I started dating my current partner, and obviously me and my eldest were in the house on our own. And I would be on the phone all the time, and she'd ask me who it was. And then we done like video calls. So the first time she actually saw him was on a video call, and it was just my friend. And then I'd said to her that my friend wanted to take us to the cinema. And then, like he came, he picked us up, and we came back home. It was very much a friend for a very long time. And then a few more going out plans and whatever. Then he would just come round. I can't remember how it happened, but she found out he was my boyfriend, and then he started seeing him more often. She was fine
Was she
with it.
okay?
She loved it. I'd always said that she struggled without having like a father figure, like a male role model. She found males very interesting because she didn't see any males apart from my dad and my brother. So yeah, it was quite interesting for her, and it was nice to see her build an instant relationship with him. That was what I was scared of, and it was very innocent. Like I wouldn't be like, lovey-dovey in front of her. It was very slow, the way that they met and the way that she found out about our relationship.
Did you have any fears when obviously you got pregnant with your second about if he would change with your first?
What do you mean? Like change towards my eldest?
Yeah. So like obviously they're both his, but naturally you think, well, obviously your first has a different dad. Will the love be different?
Oh, 100%.
Did you ever think like, he will prefer one?
100%. I had them doubts from the beginning. I would always say to him, like, you haven't felt the love of loving your own child, because him loving my child is something, and it's something really big. But him loving his own child, like I have loved my own child, and the love that we feel as parents is just inexplicable. Like it's just something beyond anything. So I've said that to him, and I was adamant that it was going to be very different, and it might be he loves her the same amount, but it'll be a different type of love. And it was my fear, and I was really like concerned that maybe just little things like preferences and maybe the way that he would look at them would be different. Like when you catch someone looking at someone with a look that's endearing, I thought it'd be different the way he would look at my youngest and my eldest, but it isn't. But some way and some form, he has shown that it's not like that. Like he absolutely loves them exactly the same. But it was a very big fear, and the way I handled it was not right. I used to just always just cry throughout my whole pregnancy and think that he wasn't going to love her enough.
I think it's understandable, no? Because absolutely you're going to feel like, is it going to be that switch where he's now just acting up different? Because sometimes you may act different, but you don't know, and I'm not saying he does, but as a person, you can act in a way that you don't even realize yourself until you're put, until someone points it out, and then innocently you haven't realized that that's how you were acting, or
Well, I think in general, I think the fear will be there because, for instance, Dee has like 2 baby daddies. Say for me, like as a mom, I always thought, am I going to have like a favorite from my 2 boys? Like I'm sure you guys have siblings. You'd always kind of ask your parents, who's the favorite? Because for me, like I've mentioned before, I always thought, how am I going to be able to, love another child as much as I love Joel? Like for me, that was impossible. But then obviously it happens and you kind of realize, oh, it's doable.
Yeah, it is. I think my fear was that it was going to be, the love was going to be there, but just different, not as strong. Like my fear was always that the bond between my youngest and her dad was going to be stronger than my eldest and my partner. And also I felt like, how am I going to love this child if I already love my eldest this much? Like, how am I going to be able to match it?
And I suppose because you've been through a lot with your first, you almost felt like you had to protect her more, no?
Do you co-parent?
Yeah, recently we started co-parenting. It's been rocky because as much as obviously I've helped my eldest become very open about everything, and she's very strong-minded, and my values are really, I've stored them quite strongly in her little brain. We have 2 different styles of parenting, and we have 2 very different morals and work ethics and things like that. So them things are starting to, we clash in them. He's a weekend dad, isn't he? So not really much more I can say.
I take my hat off to you though for putting, your personal experience and self to a side in order to give your daughter a chance to have a connection with her father, especially as you were saying it, you know, you kind of had a rocky relationship, so now having to put that all aside for her is a massive thing. It's very respectful, because a lot of parents use it as a weapon, and they don't get over the fact that, well, we're in this because of, you know, the child that we brought into the world. And I know it's not easy for everyone, even if you're like the best of friends.
Damn right.
I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure you still clash with your partner, or if you're co-parenting and the person seems to, you know, they're your best friend. It's still, I'm pretty sure you still clash and you still come to stressful moments, whether it's with them directly, or whether it's having your new partner, your new relationship, also having to understand the fact that you still need this connection with your ex.
Yeah.
Let's say.
I mean, I find it a little bit harder because, like you said, we've touched on the fact that we had a very rocky relationship, and then the way that the relationship ended was even rockier. There was a lot of domestic abuse. That's why my eldest didn't have contact with her dad for 4 years, with her biological dad for 4 years. This contact only started in September due to him applying through the courts. So it was like she was forgotten about for 4 years. He had things to sort out in the meantime. I was left to be a single parent due to his actions. And then I've had to think with my logical side of my brain and think that him reintroducing himself into her life isn't for me, isn't going to benefit me, or it's not to despise me. It's for my eldest's benefit. And I've had to kind of like put that aside. And it's not been easy, but it's doable. And like you said, you know, there are some women and some men that use their children as weapons to spite the other parent. But it just doesn't benefit the child. As much as my co-parenting it is hard work, and, you know, having to drop her off at a place and pick her up on another day and whatever else, and plans being made and not made. It is hard work, but at the end of the day, my child's happier and she's so content. Like, she's so different in her school. She's open about it, and she's like, oh, I have 2 dads. One's daddy and one's dad. And she's just so happy because she gets to have what she was missing for so long, which is her biological dad. And so it's important. I think it's important to have that, even though it is hard, obviously, with other things that happen, you know, the luggage that you carry. But it is really important for children to know where they come from, even if it isn't, you know, what you would want them to be around.
And I'm pretty sure now that he's made contact and, okay, I want to see her, I'm sure this is lingering in your head, like your protective walls go up. Like, I've not just had her for 4 years and left you because the way you were treating me, to now have my daughter spending time with you. Like, I'm pretty sure it changes you've got that in your head. It must be really hard.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult to think that you don't want to be a judge, you know, you don't want to be the person who says, well, you don't have the right. But at the same time, as a mum, you think your actions put you in a situation where you can't be around your child. So why should I now allow you or give you the go ahead to be around your child? It is difficult, but at the same time, you just got to come around that and just think what's the best thing for your children. And that's both parents. As much as anyone would like to deny it, having both biological parents involved is so important.
Mama's Code.
Do you think you will ever, of course, if your firstborn asks you, explain, like, I'm sure she's not going to remember, you know, that her dad was absent from her life, but if the subject ever came across, would you be willing to share what happened?
It's funny because the day before yesterday, she sat at the dinner table with my partner, and she said to him that only recently her dad had to fight for her. He had to fight the judge, like, with words, because he really wanted to see her. And when I spoke to her about it, I brought it up again and we was talking about it. And I've said this from the beginning, I will not lie to my children. I have to be age appropriate, but I will never lie to my children because I just think it's wrong. It's good to obviously protect your child, but it's not good to coat the truth. So I was age appropriate in explaining to her that, no, we didn't have to fight the judge. Like, you know, we had to go to the courts because your dad did something that wasn't good. So we had to move away. Like I have told her the moves we've had to make, but I haven't told her why. And I've told her that her dad did something, but I haven't told her what he's done. When like the time comes where she can understand what domestic abuse is or hitting your partner entails and how that affects you, I won't be telling her that. However, the day will come, and I've said it, like I have absolutely everything, and it's not to, you know, inflict trauma on her. It's because I don't want there to be any rumors and I don't want there to be any space for doubt in her brain why things were done. And I have all the information that I'm going to need when she's older to explain to her what happened and how it happened, like word for word, because it is important.
100%. Because it could be used not just, you know, to manipulate her, but also like they could try to switch the truth, so they can make you seem out to be the bad person. Oh, you know, make out sneaky comments like your mom.
Oh, daily that happens.
Like, at any angry point, yeah. So it is good to, you know, to have that backup there, you know. And it's good that you say like you use, obviously not now because she's still very young, and it'd be very traumatic to see what this person has done to you, and not just the physical side, but mentally, she may not be able to see where you were at that point and what it's done to you for your future. But I think having that there also will show her that, you know, it's okay to speak out, because I'm sure there's millions of women that go through this daily and their fear is, you know, not telling anyone. So it's like, oh, I dropped down the stairs. It's always kind of like covering the truth. And I find that that's very admirable of you, you know, to be upfront with your daughter from the get-go, so she in the future does never have to go through
of course. And it's really important. Like I really struggled because I was like, how am I gonna explain this? And like really good method is doing a timeline. So I had to explain to her that at the beginning, like me and her dad really did love each other, and she came out of that love. Like there's always a good beginning, you know, and then things happen, then it's rough for a period of time, and then it's like, now we've resolved it and this is where we are. So like it has been really age appropriate, and it has been, you know, like explaining the full truth, and it's really important for them to see. And now that she understands and she sees the way my current partner loves me, I think she understands how being with somebody who you're not happy with wouldn't work.
And I think that's important, because I think what you show at home with your partner, that's why I'm always against, you know, like having arguments in front of your kids, because all that reflects back to them. So in the future, they're going to think, okay, it's okay for my partner to scream at me when it's not. Like, you're not my dad, do not scream at me. So it's always good to like put out examples, kind of look back. Like I remember, like I'm always like, oh, you know, when you see them old people that they've been together for 100 years and you're like, oh, that's such beautiful. But deep down, we don't know what's going on because we haven't lived it. We can only imagine, you know, that they look so lovely together and blah, blah, but they could have been violence in there because, you know, back in the days, it was okay for that to happen.
Yeah, relationships can really influence a child's behavior. And like Erica was saying, it's very important that you're straight up, and like for her to understand this is not the way, like this is not the standard, this is not what we are set, you know, what we're here for. Like you're more valuable than, like you don't deserve this, and no one does deserve this.
Of course, and that's, we're growing up little women. I say this all the time, like I've been gifted women. Like I'm building these little females up to be strong characters in the world. In the same breath, like I need to be the example that my daughters need to see, that, you know, you don't always need a man to be okay. You can walk out of a toxic relationship. You can say, no, this isn't how I'm going to be treated. You can have expectations of how you want to be treated and demand them. That is the final thing. Like that, those are the girls that I want to raise. And how can I turn around and be like, don't let your boyfriend shout at you if my partner at home sits here and shouts at me? Or you can't let a man hit you when their dad hits me. We lead by example. And if we're the best that we can be, then if our children are the same, then that's our job done, isn't it?
What about you, Steph? Like, in terms of, like, obviously you were there and you saw how all this affected both Diana and her child. Did you see the impact this person put on her and her child?
I saw it all. We went through it together. No, it's not. I was there. I was on the other end of the phone most of the time. It was a rough patch, but she's done brilliantly. It's not the nicest thing to go through, but it's made her a lot stronger. More annoying.
I've got nothing to say now.
Yeah, she doesn't take shit from anyone now.
It brings the importance of like having a friend
support system. Like, it goes back to the point that you said in the previous one. You always talk to someone. Had Diana been alone, would she be able to walk out of the relationship?
Do you think this affected you, like your perception of the whole thing, your own mental health, and also not knowing what to say?
It's difficult, and you try not to get involved, obviously, because it's her life. Yeah, and it's what's happening in her life. But you're there. I gained some enemies, didn't I? I'm not very liked. But as being the closest friend, you want what's best for them. So it was always a matter of, are you okay? How are you doing? Just constantly being on the phone. Let me message. Let me see what's happening. Even till today. What's wrong? Why are you not messaging me? Nothing. Yeah, I know something's wrong. Talk about it, and let it out.
I think friendships are so important. They are so important when it comes to livelihood, like just in general with anything that's going on. Obviously, we're on the topic of toxic relationships. I think having somebody who knows everything is so important, because you can be so dazed. There was times where I would think something was so normal and just I'd call up Steph and I'll be like, this has happened. And she'll be like, what the hell? And it's just because you're in such a manipulative relationship, or you're in such a toxic daze, that you don't see things. So speaking about things daily is just so important. And that is something that, you take for granted a lot of the time, but it's very important to just have friends and open up and be as honest as you can with them.
And it's very different to having a friend, having a friend and then speaking to your family members. Like, your mum always say, I'm your friend. You always get like a different point of view, like an outsider point of view. If you guys get what I'm trying to say, your parents, depending what sort of, how you've been brought up. But usually when you have problems with your partner, you always get, it's okay. Just he's your partner. It'll get better. Men are like that, or, just deal with it. But then when you have a friend or a couple of friends and you explain what's happened, they're the ones to turn around and say, actually, no, that's not okay. We're not in the 70s anymore. That's not how it goes. So it is, going back to it is important just to have a friend or a couple of friends, and you'll notice I'm not saying that your family don't want the best for you, because they do. They just want to see you happy. They always want to see you happy. But being happy doesn't mean having to stick by a person that's not right for you.
Even if that person is the father of your child.
I think it's just that in terms of family, I think it's maybe like they don't want you to, to break up that family.
They don't.
So it's mainly that. It's not that because, you're in a domestic violence side, so what, you're getting beat.
No.
It's not that, because no family wants to see you go through it. However, breaking the family apart is what gets to them, because they obviously don't want to see you alone. And then they kind of like already see all the troubles that a broken family will bring for both you and your daughter. So I think in terms of that, that's why your family's more broke. Just, give it another chance and just try to do things differently. And it's always like, because you're a woman, you're always expected to do more, when it shouldn't be like that. It's a two-way relationship. We should all like, you know, put both the same amount.
I'm glad you touched on it as well, because having a blended family isn't easy. On, like, for example, the introducing the kids and starting to share your child with somebody brand new. That's hard, yeah. But the hardest thing is getting your family to understand. You know, you experience the way people look at you, people making snide comments. You experience these new feelings that you just didn't think that existed in 2020. Like, honestly, luckily my children are quite similar colors, but even then, like, you know, people know that they have two different dads, and they make comments about it, or they'll say stuff.
It's like, you know, that's the thing, like things like that. Like, Steph, your dad has light eyes. Why can't your daughter have any of that? Like, so people are going to look you sideways because you and Chris don't have.
My dad has cousins.
Like, people are so fast.
Yeah, my dad has cousins. They same mum, same dad. One of us, she's dark skin, like Afro type hair, and her sister's white skin, bright coloured eyes, and curly blonde hair. And they're sisters. They're blood sisters.
See, my children my two girls have obviously two dads. We've established that. One is mixed race, like, you know, lightish skin colour, and the other one is fully from Trinidad, like a black person, a black male.
A black male.
My children are exactly the same colour. And only recently up at the school have I said, like, oh, my daughter's seeing her biological dad, and everybody is gobsmacked. They're like, what? We thought he was her biological. I was like, no. And people, so you get both sides of the spectrum, but then also you get, you know, negative Nancy who says, oh, I wonder if he knows that's not his kid. What if he is? Mind your business. But it's them little comments, you know, and blended family. My dad was scared for me. No, honestly, he was like, are you sure this is what you want to do? Like, you were going to introduce her to a different man. Bearing in mind, this is 4 years down the line. Like, I had been single for 4 years. My dad was like, are you sure? I was like, if I don't do it now, I'm just going to be left with cobwebs for the rest of my life. But yeah, like, there was a slight bit of taboo, I think, with the whole, you know, blended family thing.
Puppy. Good girl.
Well, Dee, thank you for sharing your story. You're a very strong woman. I just wanted to ask, we do this thing at the end of our episodes where we share a golden tip, and we put out a positive message for all the moms out there.
A golden tip. I have a few. I don't think it's a golden tip. I think it's more like words of encouragement. If at all you think that, you know, you're not happy in a situation, don't ever think that there isn't any help. There's so much help. There are so many different ways that you can leave relationships. Even if you think we're so lucky to be in a country where we get so much help. Even if you have a fiver in your pocket and that is it, no clothes on your back, there is someone who will help you. Do it for you and do it for your children. Don't think that your happiness comes second to anything. Your happiness comes first and everything else follows.
Amen.
Because you're getting over it, working through it, and you learn from it, don't you?
And there's always, you know, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel.
Right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you've enjoyed this episode. Thank you to Dee for sharing. Much appreciated. And thank you to Stefano for joining.
Thank you.
Mama's Code out. Mwah.
Mama's Code.
Mama's Code out.
Code out.
Bye.
Bye.